Today's little pop star David Vandelay talks with us and his sister Mez about his EP, All Fun All the Time. You wanna start out by kind of talking about your music a bit, and I guess how you two have collaborated over the years, or kind of how that started.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, I got started with music because of my family anyway. Just like my dad taught me the piano and stuff, and then but she kind of came in recently and started being low-key my manager. And it's going really well because it's like I've got another ear of a
Yeah.
young person because my dad's like an old guy. And regardless, we've been working together, and she does like TikToks for me because I hate making TikToks and all these things to kind of get my music rolling. And so like we kind of work together in that sense. But like I'm the artist and I've just kind of made pop music based on my influences. Like it was cool that you had Sabrina Carpenter there because like that's definitely lately been what I've been listening to and trying to like write like. And other influences are like Bruno Mars a lot, love him. Olivia Rodrigo, just like pop stuff. I love pop.
We also
And
love
so
pop.
every episode, yeah.
Love it.
Every episode, we like to start off with a little pop quiz. So I'm just going to ask you guys some questions. So, what's a song
Let's
that you've
go.
had on repeat?
Song that I had on repeat, 15 minutes by I was by Sabrina Carpenter. Actually, no, what I've had on repeat is Needless to Say by Sabrina Carpenter because the podcast
Oh,
on Spotify from her unreleased.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed.
There's a small-ish artist named Zola Simone, and her song Pirouette is like so good. It's like if Remy Wolf, like, I don't know. It's just so good. I love it.
Yeah.
okay, cool.
And what is the most recent album you listened to?
I was just this morning I was listening to Jaguar by Victoria Monet.
The latest album that I like been bumping that I actually like was Sweetener. I just drove home from Tennessee this past weekend, so I was listening to the Sweetener live tour thing on Spotify. So yeah.
Nice.
Who is an artist you think deserves more recognition?
That's a great question. But I would say Victoria Monet instantly deserves more.
Her getting Best New Artist last year was like
But it
really
didn't come to
good.
fruition at all.
I feel like Lizzie McAlpine. Like her
That's
name,
true. Other
'cause
than
she was the second most popular like artist that other artists listen to.
really,
Yeah, which is crazy.
I didn't know that.
And so clearly she's like very appreciated within the industry, but I feel like a lot of people don't know her name. And she's like my personal favorite artist, and she's just so talented. And her mind is just awesome.
Rosalia is my final answer. I love Rosalia,
Thanks.
and she needs to come into American pop because she's pretty popular in Spain, but it's like it's too good.
And what is your favorite music genre?
Pop.
Pop.
That is
Easy.
usually the answer from most
Yeah.
podcasts. Which is also my answer. But I know you talked about like kind of how you started making music with your dad and stuff. Is there a specific song like back when you were younger or artist that really sort of changed your life or kind of kicked off that
I know
passion?
the first song I learned on the piano was "Stay" by Rihanna, which I think is I don't know. I think it's funny. I played it
Yeah.
at my fourth grade talent show. You know the deal. Um,
Second place.
but you know how it is. Yeah, Rihanna was definitely everything to me when I was a kid. Adele, you know how it is. I was learning piano, so I was doing all like the piano songs, and Adele was like the queen of that at
Yeah.
that time.
I know you said like Sabrina. What are some other artists that you kind of take inspiration from?
The 1975. Oh, sorry. To go back to your question about who should be a bigger artist, Caroline Kingsbury, absolutely 100% needs to be a bigger artist. She just released an EP and she has an album out, and it's actually phenomenal. I like her more than Chapel Roan. I like her more. Honestly, her EP. You're done.
I like it, but I don't like her more than Chapel Roan.
I genuinely think that she is so special and needs so much more connection. She has 130,000 monthly listeners. Like she's not a tiny artist, but like I've had conversations with her. I have
Yeah.
friends who are her friends. Like she's not massive, and she
Mm-hmm.
totally deserves to be. I definitely do take a lot of inspiration from Lizzie McAlpine, even though I don't do a lot of slow music like that. But whenever I do, whenever I'm writing, I really try to channel that because I think her music's really beautiful. And there's a lot of slow indie artists that do music that's just kind of tries to say something, but I feel like there's a lack of just beauty in the music. And I think Lizzie McAlpine does that really well. And it's partially
Mm-hmm.
because she just has a phenomenal voice. And I'm never gonna have Lizzie McAlpine's voice, but also just like her melodies and her instrumentation feels so just genuine, and I love that. So
I feel like a lot of people try to emulate other artists when they kind of make sad music though, like especially that kind of like folklore sound.
and the Phoebe
Um
Bridgers sound.
yeah, and
Yeah.
but she really just kind of tries to create what sounds most interesting to her, and I think that's really special.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Conan Gray too is a big inspiration for me. I think partially because like it's difficult to find gay artists who I've always had like my dad being like, "Oh, well, it's definitely not something you should hide, but it's not necessarily something that you want to advertise," which I'm not sure how much I buy into that. But I really respect how Conan Gray has gone about being a gay artist because I don't feel like he's just for gay people, but I also don't
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's any sort of like he's not hiding that or it's not at the expense of his femininity or anything. Like he is absolutely truly him, and the
Right.
music is authentic to that. And so that inspires me in a sense. And I love his pop music for what it is as well, not just
Yeah.
his artistry. I will say, as much as I love Charlie XCX, and actually she's the only thing I've been bumping that for the past few months. I am not inspired by Charlie XCX at all. I want to go in the absolute other direction. There was this interview that she did. What was it? It was before Brad. It was right after Von Dutch had come out. And I saw it on TikTok. It was this interview on the subway. I don't know who did it.
Oh, with that guy with the
Yeah,
hot takes.
and she was like, I don't think music is giving me the world. And she was talking about how artistry is like a billion times more valuable than actual good music, and that any shit music, or this, she said it nicely, but she was basically insinuating that like any you can make any music popular if you make it iconic or if you're an iconic artist. And I
Mm-hmm.
just don't agree with that. I really think the music should speak more than the artistry. And maybe that's me manifesting because I'm not really found my artistry yet. But I don't know. I love her music, but I think that doesn't apply to everyone, in my opinion.
When you take like inspiration from different artists, how have you so far kind of found a unique sound? Because I think you can hear like different sort of
Mhm.
inspirations in your music, but I do think it still stands out.
Yeah, I that is actually something I'm really struggling with lately. I find that whenever I'm having writer's block or whatever, I just kind of like really zone in on a song or an album and I go, I want to make something like this. And then I overindulge in that inspiration. I accidentally make a song that's too much like a song I'm listening to. So like, one of the things I do when I'm writing and I'm having trouble like writing something new is I'll like just take an instrumental of a song and write over it as a practice, not necessarily as a thing. And then if I think that I've written a good song, then I'll just like try to change it up to be my own and like completely redo the chord structure, or I'll redo the melody, or I'll just make it my own in some way. But I really want this song called "The Thing I Hate."
The thing that I love is saying your name rarely, playing the game fairly, playing it well. These eyes can close fully, being alone true.
The song is about getting over this that you've had in the past and that kind of ruined your perception of falling in love, and being like, wait, it doesn't have to feel like torture anymore, and it can actually feel good to be in love again. And so and the whole song is just kind of realizing that it's not like the situation I hate, it's just the person and I just need to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lyric I wrote. My almond-eyed baby and the color he paints me laying in his arms. I'm floating in space. When I look at him, I'm seeing stars. I made a wish and it came true that the universe approved. And what I realize now is the thing that I hate is you. And it's the last lyric on that song. And
Hmm.
it's kind of the only point in that song where I'm talking about this relationship that I'm in right now. I mean, the majority of the song focuses on this past thing that happened. Um, which wasn't even a relationship. Isn't that how it always goes? But yeah, and I really like because it's not necessarily lyrics that I would usually write. I was listening to this Charlie XCX song, and she was using really like buzzwords, words like vibrations or like universe or just like words that people don't colloquially say a lot, and it kind of really paints an image. And I really
Hmm.
wanted to implement that in the production. So during that point in the song, which is the bridge, there's a lot of like synths and these really magical like percussion sounds that aren't like real instruments or whatever, and it all leads up to this point when I say the thing that I hate is you, and then like the final chorus comes in, or the final like the climax comes in. And I think it's really cool because it really does feel like you're in a dream or you're like floating in space. And so I just really like how the music and the lyrics come together with that. And it just
Yes.
kind of makes the song full circle.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of your lyrics are very like image based, like very visual. Um, and so when you write, do you mostly just write by yourself or have you written with others?
I would love to write with others, but every time I've tried, I've failed. Like I've had a lot of songwriter friends over the years, but every time we try to write together, it just never works out. We never come up with something that I'm really proud of. So like in an ideal world, I would love to collaborate, but I just have not had the luck
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, I feel like that would be hard if unless you have gone through like similar situations where you can like
I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
this is just kind of a random side note, but all your cover art is very like I feel like it fits your songs very well. It's very like colorful and poppy. It's like you know what you're going into when you click on it. Very like
Yeah, yeah.
summery vibes.
I really, really, really wanted to channel like daytime music. Like you know how there's nighttime music and there's daytime music. And I love a good daytime song. And I just figured for at least this first EP that I have out, I wanted all of the singles to be like really colorful. I mean, like pop as the color, not just the music genre.
Hmm.
And all of those brick things were places in my hometown, Columbia. So like me
Okay.
and my friend Vera, we went downtown, and she brought her camera, and we had just went to every colorful wall we saw and did a little photo shoot. And I know they're boring. I mean, it's just my face and a color, but I think for my first EP at least, it just kind of is like this is who I am, and it's colorful and it catches your
Yeah.
eye. So yeah.
Yeah. And it also kind of helps to understand, like, or to remember the vibe of each song. Cause I think a lot of times, maybe when you're listening to an album or something, you get lost in, like, wait, what did that song sound like again? But if you kind of see the blue, then you're like,
Hmm.
and it kind of connects and you remember it more.
It definitely my friend Rachel was like, "Oh, my favorite song. What's that song? It's the yellow one." And I was like, "Oh, never mind."
Mike is fun, striking
Perfect.
out at every baseball game. Walking home with checkered kicks, shuffle doges, greatest hits. Only
And a
going
lot
home
of
with
your
second
songs that you've
place.
released so far came out in like 2023, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like your like style of whether it's like writing or just sort of the song structure has changed at all?
Yes and no. Part of me, but so I have a lot of like demos or just kind of unreleased music that I'm holding on to for a while. Not really, I don't really have any plan to release them unless something crazy happens. Um, like if anything goes viral or anything blows up, then I'm obviously going to jump on that opportunity. But until then, I think I just want to like rack up a bunch of songs and then hopefully get signed or go viral and just wait for that moment where something is ready to be released
Hmm.
for me to release anything. But as I'm writing lately, one, I've been writing a lot of sad music by accident. And two, I've been writing a lot of music that I just feel is like a little bit forgettable. So I have these demos that I think like, wow, this is the best song I've ever written. But then I'll be writing and I'll go, I can't just keep remaking this one song or these two songs, like The Thing I Hate and After Prom. I really need to start living up to that first EP because I'm really, really proud of it. And
Mhm.
so it's difficult to say how my songwriting has changed just because I haven't, I just need to do more of it, really.
I think a lot of your EP songs were just kind of very general, like generic topics that a
Yeah,
lot of people go through. So it's not
Yeah.
really special in any way, but you know, the sound is more what's special.
exactly, exactly.
But now he has a lot more complexity, and I think he goes for like specific things when he's writing now. But again, that we're kind of losing the sound aspect more, so he's finding balance.
Okay. Cool.
I definitely am trying to write more about my personal experiences just because it feels like the only thing I can write about. And maybe I shouldn't do that. I mean, I know a lot of people, I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but like a lot of people shoot for authenticity so hard that I feel like they're losing the point of pop music, which is not about you, it's about the audience. It's about like having fun. You know what I'm saying? It's about
Yeah.
enjoying the experience of listening to the song, not about peering into your life. I don't need people to peer into my life. I that's what therapy's for. The fuck?
When you released like the songs you've released so far, did you have a similar sort of strategy, or did you choose to release them like at specific times?
um, that first EP I released, well, it was kind of just the only 6 songs that I had written that I thought were worth releasing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's more like a playlist than an album. You know how some people are like, I know Beyonce is a big champion of like, I'm an album writer. Like this is not just a playlist of songs. Like there's a reason why all these songs are here. I
Hmm.
would never go as far as to say that about my EP. Like I definitely agree. It's just fun. It's just simple and I like it. There's not really a reason of the order other than I thought I put my best foot forward with Hot Pursuit.
In hot pursuit.
Yep. But we did it. It was released like monthly. Like we just kind of waited
Hmm.
once a month to release each one, and then we had a month before the EP as a collective was released at the end.
Nice.
I know you said that you makes a lot of the TikToks, so how do you guys kind of collaborate on that?
Most of the time when I post a TikTok, I just get bored and then I'm like, it's pretty easy to make like those slideshows that just get to like,
Mm-hmm.
a kind of small audience. But like my thought is always just like you never know who's gonna see it, and like you could find your biggest fan in like the 100 people who see that boring TikTok. But because it takes a lot of time for me to get him to prop the phone up and make a video. But we a lot of the time we'll see like TikToks on our For You page, and I'll send it to him and be like, you should do this.
Yeah, I just
But
made an inspo folder on TikTok. I just figured out
yeah,
how to favorite, like, when you press favorite on TikTok. I didn't know that you could put those in folders, so I just made an
you
inspo
didn't know
folder.
that?
I didn't know that either.
that.
I did not know that.
I knew that.
That's
So
my life.
so we just kind of we send TikToks to each other a lot and say like we should spin it this way and do it. And
Hmm.
a lot of the time we forget by the time we're like together again.
Yeah.
But sometimes it ends up happening. So
Yeah.
Right. This year, I'm hoping to dedicate myself more to social media and to actually trying to get somewhere because I was really lazy with it when I was releasing that first EP. I've been lazy with it right now, but I want to lock in. I want
he was
to.
lazy in the past, just lazy now.
I don't know. I don't know. It's just difficult. It doesn't come to me easily. I mean, I really want to focus on the music more than the social media and like marketing part of it, but that's part of it. And I'm trying to
Hmm.
get used to that. So I bet every artist struggles with that. Social media is the
Yeah.
worst.
I think it's just also hard because like he's a man. And I know that's like so I don't know, but I feel like sometimes, especially with social media, like girls are kind of like more palatable for social media, I guess.
Who wants to listen to a man
I
anyway?
know.
Ugh.
So it's just kind of a strange space to navigate because like he can't just get on there and be like, I'm just a girl who wants my song to be listened to because he's not. So it's strange.
I know you've performed like live in the past. Is that something you are hoping to do more in the future?
Absolutely. So, of all the performances that I've had, it's really, really small. I mean, small venues, restaurants, bars, sometimes country clubs. I really haven't done venues where I'm the main event mostly. But I have a friend in New York who's really involved with NYC Pride. And so there are some events coming up that they and I have talked about. Maybe performing at. And so those would be really life changing. And I really want to do that more often. But yeah, absolutely. I would love to start performing in Nashville because that's where I just moved for school. And so I'm really hoping to set some things up there. And of course, I have a bunch of friends who live in Nashville who are, I have some touring friends and I would love to join them. I'm looking to open for people. Just, I'm really like coming into my own as an artist right now. So I feel like now's the best time to start doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of waiting on an opportunity, which I guess we'll see in 2025.
Yeah, for sure. Are there like any smaller artists that you'd like to highlight?
Yes. Here are people that I know who absolutely deserve it. I would never mention someone who I don't know, who I don't think deserves it, even though I love them probably. But here are the artists that genuinely inspire me and that I would one day like hopefully collaborate with soon. Paola Cruz is insanely talented. Her voice is so special. I would say she's a lot like Amy Winehouse, Ray, maybe some Adele. Yeah, she's insane. Paola Cruz. Also Nick Rich. He's definitely becoming more popular. I know he just had a tour in Europe and I met him at a show in Nashville, but I had talked to him online before. He's insanely talented, and he's coming out with his debut album Mad soon. So that's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to hear that. Let me think. Lila Holler is one of my good friends. She absolutely does not make pop music. She's very indie folk, but it's really, really good quality, and her voice is just really something special.
That's actually so funny that you said Nick Rich because I went to middle school with him.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. How was he in middle school? How was he?
Good. I used to do musical theater with him and we had a duet together. So
That's
is
awesome.
so funny.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I had been talking to him and I do this thing where it's like if you're a small enough artist or a big artist, I don't know, like I have done the embarrassing DM to a famous person with no response because I don't care.
Yeah.
Sometimes they really do text you back and I love talking with people who are other artists because I get a lot of inspiration from how they got to where they are. I mean, I feel like I'm the smallest that a serious artist could be right now. I mean, I'm 300 monthly listeners is nothing to write home about, and I know that. But I'm really wanting to collaborate with other artists like Nick Rich, for example, just because he has hit his stride. You know what I'm saying? Like he is on the come up, and I just really respect that. And so I just reached out to DM, you know how it is. And then when I went to his concert, he was awesome. I mean, he came up to me like didn't know where to go. It was I don't know if you all have ever been to Nashville. There's this place called it's a bowling alley / venue, and he was playing there and I was lost because it's not like a normal concert venue, and he like chased after me and knew me. He called me by name. He was like, David. I'm like, and then I was like, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. I mean, it genuinely felt like meeting a friend. So yeah, he's awesome.
So
Yeah, you go, your
there's
turn.
one girl who I think she lives in California and she only has like 1,000 or a couple thousand monthly listeners. Her name is Natalia Vassilian, and she has this song called Yes Please that's like my espresso. Like I love it so much, and she's just so cool, and she's like ginger and she has long hair and it's curly, so she's like kind of everything I need to be. But that's like the smallest one that I can think of other than
Sydney
people.
DeFranco, super talented.
I love her.
Super fresh sound.
She makes music sort of like Leve, but it's just very interesting, and her voice is so sweet. It's so cool.
Yeah. She's really fresh.
Yeah.
I don't think you mentioned in our chat, but I know like before we talked a little bit about Asher Finlon. I just wondered how you like
Yeah.
found him.
I don't know how I think I found him on TikTok probably or something. But it was just that song Lying Art.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
Yeah.
regardless, I'm really inspired by how he does it all himself. I'm really inspired by like the Small Artist podcast. But yeah, he's awesome. His new album is gold. Yeah.
It is, yeah. I forgot, what's your major again?
Yeah, so I'm at audio production. I thought about going into songwriting or music, but I just figured like and of course I'll take those elective classes eventually, but I just really
Yeah.
want to focus on production because I'm already I make my own demos. I love music production and I get songs to where they could I mean like they could be released, but I really like when a producer puts their final touch on it and it's all mixed and mastered and perfect. Because I want things to sound professional, but I really do want to start doing it all myself.
Do you see like yourself producing for others?
Absolutely. I have a friend named Emma Wooten, who I didn't mention. She also makes music, and I've produced for her a little bit, and I want to get better at that because I love the idea of collaborating with my friends. And if it's not with songwriting, I can absolutely produce for them. And I'd love to, if this whole artist thing doesn't work out, I'd love to be a producer too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Are there any other things about like your processes or how you all work together that you'd want to share?
Do you know the Swiftologist on TikTok?
I think
It's that
so.
really annoying, well, and love to him, but it's that really annoying guy who does all his hot takes.
So now that Taylor's Gorgina 2025 Grammys
This
look is in,
guy?
I think it's
Yeah, I think
Have you
so.
ever seen him? He went on this rant about how there's no good men in pop right now, other than maybe Conan Gray and Troye Sivan, and I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. And I think it truly is because of the rise of like social media and algorithmic social media being like the driving force of what is popular or what is a trend lately. And well, no, you go.
Well, I also, and not to be like that one friend who's too woke, but like I think the rise in like feminism just like kind of decentered men a little bit more from like
Sure.
mainstream popularity. Like when Justin Bieber came to popularity and like One Direction, it was about like he's so hot or whatever. And now it's just like people don't really look for that in a celebrity anymore because we've kind of decentered men. So
Could be. But what I wanted to say was like how I went on this tangent on a TikTok draft that I never posted because it would be insane if I posted it. But and it was in response to that thing I was talking about earlier, the Charlie XCX talking about how artistry is like music isn't giving her the world and that artistry is. And I think it's difficult personally for me to try to find that artistry because like she was saying with Justin Bieber, it was like sex appeal for women, which is obviously not what I'm going for at all.
yeah.
And then, but it's also at the same time, it's like I don't want to be a gay icon because I want to be like more for everybody. Because I mean, my icons are mostly like women, and I like a lot of male artists as well. I mean, I've mentioned like Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, but like the 1975 Bruno Mars, like all those people are like huge inspirations for me too, and I respect how they're like kind of like in the middle. But it's difficult to try to separate yourself by being in the middle. I mean, like that's like the point of social media is that everybody's trying to find a niche, everybody's trying to separate themselves. That's why Chapel Roan's huge right now. That's why Brat is a thing because it's just so different, but not there's a sweet spot and I haven't found it yet. And I
Yeah.
hope I find it this year because that's the key.
Yeah.
That's
I
all.
think I think Sabrina Carpenter is the closest that we've gotten to like a standard, like pretty, like girl next door, like just
Who's
like
not
the perfect girl who's enjoyable for the average person. And she took like 10 years to get to that point.
Yeah, it's difficult to say whether I want to be. I mean, I know I say like this and that about like I'm the male Sabrina Carpenter, but honestly, I just say that because I'm blonde and I like her. But it's I don't know. I really do love her as an artist because it's not necessarily trying to be something super different. It's just doing straightforward pop really, really well.
Yeah,
and that's what I want to do.
I haven't heard a pop album that spot on in like so long. Like I would say 1989 was the last like just hit after hit pop album that like is so outstanding.
They gave daytime
music. My favorite kind of music is like that kind of espresso, like plasticky pop. So when I find people like Hedda, who's like either like a German or a Norwegian artist, who just makes this like very exactly that, like I think it's very special. And so like her I love so much. I also love this girl named Elle Darlington, who just has the cutest name and she's the cutest girl, and they just make such good music and I love it so much. So
yeah, that is another like that might be the thing that separates me until I get signed by a record label, or until I have like the funds to really come into artistry the way that, you know, Brat was a huge moment, or that Sabrina Carpenter has all this huge production. Like I just love a polished sound. And so working with new producers in Tennessee is totally helping me find that. And that there's stuff on the way that sounds really good.
Yeah, especially with David. Like I think people don't realize how rare it is for a small artist to make such like mainstream sounding music, like because I look for it and I can't find it. So it's really special to me, but some people just don't think about it that way.
Yeah, definitely. I think like even like with us finding people to be on the podcast, like really, I think so far who we've gotten on has been like really, it's clear they've really like worked hard, like you, to make sure the songs are really solid songs.
Why is it always me crying on the floor at the after prom? 'Cause when the party's over, that's when
you didn't talk too much about After Prom. Do you want to talk a little bit about that one?
Absolutely. That is probably my favorite song I've ever written. It is just pure me.
True story.
True story. Everything is true. It's a song about I was crying because I was drunk and I didn't want my high school to end, because I went contrary to popular sentiment. I loved my high school. I went to a boarding school and it was awesome and I had so many friends.
It was like a boarding school for the arts.
Yeah. So. And I really didn't want to say goodbye to that chapter of my life. And so I was crying there was a party after prom, and we were all drunk as hell, and I was just having a crisis on the floor because I was like, I don't want this to end, and this means that it's about to end. And so the song is really about two things. It's about my boarding school life, and it's also about the fact that I was about to leave for Spain, and that I was having to say goodbye to not just my governor school friends, but also my South Carolina friends too, because I was saying goodbye to specifically my friend Emma, who I always call Stella in my songs because that's like my fake name for her. It's just about the fact that like she came to prom with me and it was fun, but it was also really bittersweet because we were saying goodbye. But it's a really fun sounding song.
It's a happy song, and the lyrics aren't too depressing. It's kind of like
it's kind of laughing at yourself a little bit.
Yeah, and just being like, you know, I'm gonna miss this place, and it gets kind of nostalgic at the end, and I don't know, it's just a very fun song.
That's the best thing about being an artist, having your own unreleased music to just play all the time.
Yeah,
that's the reason I make it.
Those local files on Spotify get used by us.
Well, if y'all don't have anything else, I'm really thank you for reaching out to me and asking me to be on this podcast. This is super cool.
Yeah, thanks for talking to us.
For
We're
sure.
excited to
Thank you.
hear what you're working on next. And
Absolutely.
Maybe it's the mic, it's hard to